Hey guys, we have a great evening planned for you. I want to say a couple things real quick. First off, next week, we're going to have a night of worship. All right, we decided that it would be a great opportunity in our world today, what we're battling, the things that we are facing, to have a night where we just spend and we worship, we reflect. And so we're going to be doing that next week. So this is a great opportunity to invite a friend, just to bring yourself prepared in your heart. I know that worship is something different for a lot of us, but really just comes down to us spending time worshiping our God, recognizing our God for what He's done in our life. So next week, we're having a night of worship. Also, I want to talk about merch. We also have some merch that's for sale. We got some hoodies, some sweaters, and we still have those on sale for the next week. We sold a bunch of them, actually, a little more than we even thought. But you can go online to discovereastside.com, even our app, and you can go ahead and buy those if you want one. If you don't or cannot find the link, just message me, and I will send you a link for one of those. But we have those up for another week or 2 weeks. Actually, I think it's just a week before those come down, so make sure to go ahead and get that when you have time. So we're going in the final message of our series, Canceled. And throughout the series, you guys know we've talked about this idea of cancel culture. Cancel culture is a thing that's been going around Hollywood and social media about what it looks like to cancel someone out of your life because of different things that maybe they've done to you, or just maybe you just don't like them. And so if you follow any people online, anyone famous specifically, you know that there are those people that you almost hate follow. You know what I'm saying? You almost love to hate them, so you follow them. Or it's just someone you just love to hate just because of who they are. So I thought we could play a little game with celebrities, and this is how the game's going to work. I'm going to put a picture up on the projector, and you get to cheer for them or you get to boo them based on how much you want them to be in our youth group. Okay, so I'm going to put a picture up. We're going to have some random people, and you get to go like, woo, I want them in our youth group. Or boo, you don't, okay? So let's go ahead, play a little game to see if these are some of the celebrities you'd want in our youth group. Let's go ahead and put the first picture up. Would we want this celebrity in our youth group? Selena Gomez. Okay, so generally speaking, yes. Would you? Yes. No, we got some no's. Yes, okay. Mainly the guys are like, yes, Selena. Yeah, you guys just like her music though, right? Okay, anyways, next one. Kanye West. Okay. Whoa. All right, Peyton, do you want him in the youth group? Okay, Peyton says he's in the youth group, so we are good. Yes? All right, the guy's like erupted. All right, easy. All right, next. Adam Sandler. Wow. You guys know. Dude, you weren't alive when that came out. Happy Gilmore? Yes. All right. You too good for your home? Anyone get that? No? All right. Next one. Ooh. Wow. Ladies. Sound like 3 dying pterodactyls in the back. That was terrifying. Wow, Peyton, Thor, we got to know. Peyton says no, the only female in this room who doesn't like Thor. All right, okay, that's weird. Go ahead, next. Oh, Miley. Wow, that's a no? No, okay. Hey, Griffin says she needs Jesus. She needs Jesus. Exactly like that. All right. Anyone? Yes? No? Okay. Here we go. Next one up. Oh, that's Kylie. Kylie, are her lips real? We are united on that. Okay. All right. So we have some. Okay. Would you want her? Yes or no? Go. That seems like a no. Okay, we got to know. All right, next one up. Oh. Hey, what? Guys, we got a lot of division in this room. Oh, man. Man, my mama don't like you, and she likes everyone. All right, next one up. Oh! It looks like she was on an episode of Nickelodeon, you know? What? Anyone get that joke? Yes? Yes. Hey, I'm going to try to sing like Billie Stylish. Okay. This is when I hear Billie Eilish, this is what I hear. Is that how she sounds? I can't understand anything. She's horrible? We got divided. We got Republicans and Democrats in here. All right, next one up. Wow. Guys, that looks like a picture of me a couple of years ago, before I had kids. Yes, The Rock. All right, this last one's for fun. Let's see how people respond. Let's see if anyone even knows this person. Let's go ahead. Last one. Bernie Sanders. Every young college-age person wants free college, so you guys are cheapos. That is Bernie Sanders. He about to take a dirt nap. That dude old, okay? Okay. I don't know how I'm going to save this room, but here it is. In case you need more proof, we love to have strong opinions about celebrities. We love to speak up and even have a love-hate relationship. I think about some of you. Some of you were like, I'm too cool. And then I showed one person, you're like, come on, everybody. I saw you, Grace. She didn't say a single word until Billie Eilish came in. Then she's like, everyone raise the roof, all right? So here's the thing. Guys were like, yeah, Selena Gomez, she all right. You know, I'm like, okay. All right, you guys promised the world and I fell for it. All right, so here's the deal. I look at all this and I think about it. I'm laughing because there's always the villain of the week. You know, like you look at celebrities, there's always the next villain. Recently, I just put up a picture of Kanye West. I was looking at some tweets, and one of them was from celebrity Jennifer Aniston. And she's like, guys, it's not funny to vote for Kanye. And I was like, okay, she made a comment. Well, he commented underneath and said, well, the TV show Friends isn't funny, because that's what she was on. And I was like, oh, dropped a mic. And I thought about it. There's always these little bickering and bantering at each other. And I think about us, and it's so easy to focus on the cancel culture and just having that love-hate relationship with some of these people. In the last couple of weeks, we've talked about how it is so easy to shame, to boycott, to cancel, to judge someone because of something they've done to us or maybe something that we believe about them. And so we can even, in the church, adopt this into our own persona. And I know not everyone in here says like, oh, I claim Jesus, I love Jesus, he's my Lord. I ain't dumb. I know that there's probably a chunk of people in here that are like, I'm here because a friend's here. I'm here because a parent forced me to be here. I'm here because there's really good-looking girls here, really good-looking boys here. I'm here because the youth pastor is so cool and awesome. I know that there's some reasons that you guys are here. It's probably more often than not that we're just here because we got invited. And so it's easy to allow this cancel culture to infiltrate even our churches. But today I want to talk about, not about internet trolls or celebrity drama. I want to talk about what happens when there's legitimate reason to cancel someone from our life. When there's a legit reason that we can say, hey, you don't understand, they deserve to be canceled from my life because this is what I've went through. And I know I come in here and I act like this or like that, but this person has really messed me up. Whether it's online, whether it's family, whether it's a circle of friends. Guys, I could say some of the things to you guys. If I said some of it back to you that you've told me, your heads would explode because there's so much happening in this room. Guys, we carry so much weight. Even within our own homes and our friend circles, the bullying, the abuse, the physical, the sexual, the emotional, the mental abuse that happens in this room. And now we're going to talk about cancel culture. And is there a legitimate time that we can cancel someone in our life when someone hurts us? You know, maybe it's just them. You know, they're almost dehumanizing us. And so in return, we dehumanize them. In return, we try to talk bad about them. In return, we shame them. And it's so easy for us as a church to be this. I want to share a goofy story with you guys, but I think it makes some sense. There was a guy, and he was kind of a stud. He moved up to Michigan to play hockey, to play in a AAA league, which a lot of really good players do up in Michigan because it's really cold. And cold places are where hockey is. And so he came up there, and his name was Neil, and he was a good guy. We were actually really, really close friends until he started liking the girl that I liked. I was like, that my girl. Okay, I didn't say that at all. But the thing is, she liked him in return. And so they ended up dating, and I was like, this ain't cool. And so I remember, and I think back to that time when here's this girl I've liked, and he comes into town, and then he's like this really cool guy, and everyone loves him, and then now they end up dating. And I remember from that point onward, up until even early in my high school, I canceled him out of my life. I was just jealous. I was angry. It wasn't anything he specifically did, but it's just because all these feelings welling up in me, and I canceled him out of our life. And there are people in our life we cancel without even saying we cancel them. It is a shame, all that we do to cancel people from our life, even for minute things, even just because we feel something. And so I think about this, when we're hurt, of course, we want to stick up for ourselves and hold people accountable. But I want to ask some questions, you guys, and I really want you to chew on this. I really want you to think about these questions. 3 questions, and I want you to really process through it. Let's put them up here for you guys to check out. Here are the 3 questions. First is, how do we balance accountability with grace and forgiveness? Okay, how do we balance accountability? Like, if someone hurts us, we don't just want to be like, oh, it's all good, I forgive you, grace, forgiveness. How do we have accountability in that? Say, hey, that's not cool. I'll forgive you, but that is not cool. Second question, does forgiving someone mean pretending like the hurt never happened? A lot of people are like, oh, I'm a Christian now. I'm going to pretend that you never hurt me, you never harmed me, you never did this. I'm going to be like, everything is cool. When does it get to a place when we realize that forgiving doesn't mean we have to just pretend like nothing ever happened? Third question, when do we need to seek justice? And when do we need to just let something go? These are very heavy questions. And so last week we heard about the story of David, and David dealt with some of this. He was this young, rugged, gonna be king, and then he ended up slaying Goliath, and everyone was like praising him, and so much so that he was loved by the current king, and then the current king got so jealous, he tried to kill him. He tried to kill him just because he was angry, and David made a decision to not act upon that anger. And I think about us, and if I was in David's shoes, how would I act? You know, I get mad if someone just talks bad about me, or one of my biggest pet peeves, I hate this. Out of everything social media, this is one of the top things I hate, is passive-aggressive social media attacks. Like someone trying to blast someone without saying their name on Snapchat. It is so petty, it is immature, and I hope that we're better than that. I hope that we're better. I would love to say that we are, but I know for a fact that we're not. And so I would love for us, even after this message, to say, hey, I'm not going to do that anymore because I choose to be different. I choose to go above the grain. And I think about David. If I was in his shoes, I don't think I'd be cool with Saul. And we see time and time again, he chose to love him, to forgive him, to not even try to harm him. And I want to share another story about that from 1 Samuel chapter 24. It's a beautiful story of David having an opportunity to kill King Saul after time and time again, King Saul trying to kill him, and him making a decision in that moment to be different. We're going to go ahead and read this. 1 Samuel chapter 24. This is what it says. Now when Saul returned from pursuing the Philistines, he was told, saying, "Behold, David is in the wilderness of En-gedi." Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men from all Israel and went to see David and his men. He came to the sheepfolds on the way where there was a cave, and Saul went into the cave to relieve himself. Take a poop. Now David and his men were sitting in the inner recesses of the cave. The men of David said to him, "Behold, this is the day which the Lord has said to you. Behold, I'm going to give your enemy into your hand, and you shall do to him as it seems good to you." Then David arose and cut off an edge of Saul's robe secretly. It came about that afterwards his conscience bothered him because he had cut off an edge of Saul's robe. So he said to his men, "Far be it from me, because the Lord said that I should not do anything to the Lord's anointed, to stretch out my hand against him, since he's anointed by the Lord." David persuaded his men to not rise up against Saul. And Saul rose, left the cave, and went on his way. So we see here, which a lot of us would say, this is an act of God. He's given him into our hands. He's about to shame him. He's in a cave, he's taken a poop, and now he has an opportunity to kill him. And even in that moment, after all the pursuits, all the attacks, all the shame, he chose in that moment to only cut off a little piece of his robe to have proof that he was there. And even that made him upset. He said, "I'm not messing with the Lord's anointed who God put in this position, not touching him." And I think about that. I'm blown away because later, Saul went on to realize, man, you are the chosen instrument of God. You are the chosen person for this nation. And even then, he still struggled to let David be in that position. They didn't necessarily end well, but at least he realized it. But I look at David and I say, man, how can we be more like David? Because when someone hurts us, we want to cancel them, we want to hurt them, we want to shame them, we want to embarrass them. And I'm telling you, we have to be better. We are called to be better. We're called to rise up. Man, what would it look like to have a youth group that ain't petty? What would it look like to have a youth group that took the higher road? What would it look like to have a youth group that honored men and honored women, honored their relationships, honored people? What would it look like to be a group like that? I think that'd be a group that would change the world. We have an opportunity to be that. David stood up and he made it very clear that he was not going to be that. I want to put up here just to summarize this. When David had the opportunity to take revenge and let hate guide him, he chose to let Saul go instead. He chose in that moment to love Saul in spite of his actions. Whew. That doesn't mean that David trusted Saul. It doesn't mean that he became his best friend and talked to him every night, tucked him in at night. But it meant that he chose to not act with vengeance, but mercy. Like we mentioned last week, David and Saul didn't necessarily reconcile. But I think in that moment, they had at least some respect for each other. And I want to say this real quick. This is my disclaimer because there's been some people in this room that need people to stand up for them. You know, it's different if someone just talks bad about you, but what if someone has physically harmed you? What if someone has sexually harmed you? What if there's some pain involved that is bigger than just the pettiness? I want to challenge you guys to ask for help. Go to a pastor, go to a teacher, go to an officer. If you've been affected in one of those ways, I do believe you need someone to stand up for you. I do believe you need help. You need someone to be there for you, and I want to challenge you to do that. If you're in that position right now, I want you to think about that because there is a time when we can't just be like, oh, nothing ever happened. Like, we actually need someone to stand up. And in my position, that happens way often than it should, where I have to stand up for someone because of something physically or sexually that has happened to them that is not fair. So I want to speak this to you guys. If you're in the place where you've been hurt in other ways, I want us to read what Jesus did. Jesus is a pretty cool guy, right? You guys like Jesus? I say this stuff a lot. Jesus, it's not a question of if he lived, because there's enough proof for Jesus from Christian authors, non-Christian authors, just scattered all over this planet. But nonetheless, people respect him for them. I think he's the Son of God, and he has so much wisdom to share in the book of Matthew. I want to read from Matthew 5, verse 38. This is what it says. You've heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist an evil person, but whoever slaps you on your right cheek, turn to him the other. If anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, let him have your coat also. Whoever forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2. Give to him who asks of you, and do not turn away from him who wants to borrow from you. You've heard it said that you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who's in heaven. For he causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous. What is it saying? Love the people you want to hate. Love the people you want to hate. I mean, I think that phrase, turn the other cheek, that's something that can be misunderstood. Jesus, he wasn't saying, never stand up for yourself, let people walk over you. That's not what he was saying. Jesus had no problem defending himself. Jesus actually got often pretty angry with people who were cruel and hurtful. But Jesus never sought revenge. He never sought to be cruel with others or escalate it into a physical altercation. Here's what I think Jesus did mean when he said, turn the other cheek. Don't be overcome by anger. Don't be overcome by anger. Don't plot your revenge. Don't escalate the situation. Don't react without thinking. Respond wisely instead. Guys, we're so quick to want to fight back. What would it look like to stop, to be patient? What would it look like to pray for our enemies? What would it look like to pray for those who persecute us? People want the world to be at peace, right? I want this group and that group to get along. Are we doing anything? Are we doing anything about it? Are we just fueling the fire? So many people like to get on their high horse and say, man, this is what we need to stand for. Are you being part of the solution? Either we're part of the problem or we're part of the solution, guys. I would love for us to be part of the solution. Strategically choose love instead of hatred, because love changes things. You got to choose it, though. You got to choose it. So let's talk about some enemies. Who are your enemies, right? Pray for your enemies. Love those who persecute you. I want to ask some questions. Who are you tempted to hate right now because of the way they've hurt you or treated you? Who right now you are tempted to hate because of something they've done, some way they've treated you? Who have hurt you out of the desire for revenge? And how can you make it right? How can you make it right, guys? Who have you hurt out of desire for revenge? What can you do to smooth that over? How can you stop the back and forth exchange of hatred and retaliation? Right? Part of the problem, part of the solution. People are like, oh, well, they did this to me. What are you doing? Stop pointing the finger. We are so good at pointing the finger at everyone else. They did that. They did that. What about us? What about we look in the mirror and say, what can we do? If we don't want our enemies to be in our life, how can we stop the back and forth exchanges of hatred and retaliation? And how can you strategically choose to love someone you want to hate? How can we do that? When someone hurts us, guys, it's natural to want to cancel them, make them pay, but it's possible to hold someone accountable for their actions while not adding to the hatred. The world needs us to model love. The world needs groups like this more now than ever. So I want to give you 4 things real quick that we can do to start doing to help this. 1, forgive. Forgiveness is not about the person that hurt you. Forgiveness is something we do for ourselves and God. It's the hugest misconception. I'm going to forgive because it's going to help them. No, it helps you. When we forgive, it helps us be set free from that bitterness and that anger. We can choose to forgive that person today. But forgiveness is often a journey. It's not just going to come easy. Another thing we can do is notice. We all need people to model for us what compassion and love look like. But the good news is that these examples are everywhere. We just need to pay attention. We need to notice them. We need to look for those examples. We need to defend. We need to defend those who we know are being hurt. We need to stand up for those who we know are suffering. David, he stood up. We can be people that stand up as well. And the last thing we can do is pray. The things we talked about today are difficult. I don't know about you guys. I need God to work on me to have those abilities. There's some people that have hurt me in major ways, and the only reason I have more compassion or I am able to forgive them or have forgiven them is because I choose to pray for them, and I choose to pray for my heart. It's so much easier to love someone when you're praying for them. Because something almost supernatural happens. God starts to soften your heart, and you start to feel more empathetic towards them. It's a beautiful thing. Guys, if we choose to hate our enemies, hate will only grow. If we choose to just let that anger well up in us. I always ask this to people, is this what you want to be when you're a parent, when you're older, when you have that person in your life, when you have that career? Where you are today, is this where you want to be? Because there's not going to be this magic pixie dust that just takes us to a new place in our psyche and our walk. There will be a journey, and we got to let go of the hate. If we choose to love our enemies with God's help, that love will grow and it'll spread and even change our culture. And it won't be easy, but it'll be worth it. I promise you that. So like Jesus said, like David did, God's challenging you to love the people you want to hate. He's challenging you to do that. I've shared with you guys some stories before of just things that have happened, things that I've seen, things that have happened to me personally. And I have seen hate. I have seen hate straight up in the most extreme ways and even in the most simple ways. And I look at this group and I know you guys have experienced some of those things as well. And some of you are walking in here with the heaviest hearts. We got people in here that are just aloof and they're just here and they're uninterested. I know that because I was that person for 18 years. I was just a butt in a seat, but my heart and my spirit was never there. Some of us, we're energized, we're so excited to be here, but just because we're energized doesn't mean we're not going through some stuff. Just because we're dancing and jumping and engaged doesn't mean that we're not fighting our own demons as well. No matter where you are in your walk, don't be part of this cancel culture of just canceling out people. Choose to love the way that God loves. I believe it'll change your life. I'll pray for us, and then we actually do have a baptism. All right. God, thank you again for your word. I pray right now in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. I know there are people in this, I just feel a weight in this room. There's so much going on in our world today. I pray that we walk out victorious knowing that you have a plan for our lives.